Good morning. It is February 15th. Today is the start of the Knit Happy Summit, and I'm going to be joining. It's hosted via Zoom, as well as the Knit Happy Summit website and Facebook. Lots of different places. So I'm Gabs. This video is maybe my reviews, maybe my opinions, things that I find out interesting. I obviously can't share a bunch of them because I won't share the maker's tips because that's their proprietary information, but this will probably just be a quick one with some reviews of it. It started today. It runs from 9 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern, which is a super bummer on the West Coast. And I imagine it is a super bummer in lots of other places where it's in the middle of the night. And I know time zones are so hard to manage because it doesn't work for everyone. But personally, for me, it's basically all the times that I'm at work, like all day. So I can barely join into any of the lives, which is a bummer. I think a way to mitigate this would be to have different start times at different times of the day. Like Thursday, you start at 9 a.m. Eastern, but then maybe the next day you start at noon Eastern, so you run later into the night for some, which I know is tricky for some because then they're up till midnight doing a Q&A, but yeah, that's what I would think. It also runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but Sunday there aren't that many activities. So again, nobody's asking for feedback, but if I was going to do it, I would run it Friday, and the bulk of the class is on Saturday and Sunday, when the majority of people's schedules are a little bit freer, and then do the wrap up on Monday night. So that you could probably make it works a little bit better for the majority of people's schedules, which I know doesn't work for everyone because people work on the weekends and have lots of different obligations. But so that's kind of a bummer, but that's okay. I'll make it work. I'll watch the replays, and yeah, I'm off. I'll let you know what I think. Okay, tried to watch the first video. So far, it was a minute of the designer sitting in silence, or the speaker sitting in silence. And I think they were adjusting their camera, but I thought something was wrong with my sound. So I spent the past minute and a half trying to figure out what was wrong with my sound, but it was really just the designer sitting in silence. That was confusing. After we'll call it day one. So I watched 2 videos on day one. Well, I tried to watch 2 videos on day one. The first video was on shawl shapes. And I don't know, I didn't vibe with it. I don't think it was for me. I just didn't vibe with the recording. I think it was the initial confusion I had at like the start of it, and it felt like it took a really long time to get started for a 20-minute video. The designer was lovely, but it was this one felt a little bit more like an interview with the designer, like a get to know, like an interview, which just wasn't what I was looking for. Because I followed this designer before, I really like them, but just wasn't what I was looking for. So I actually didn't finish it. So maybe it got more interesting. I just wasn't vibing with it, so I stopped. And then the second one I watched was on, I think the designer's called Wool and Palette, and it was on color theory, and that was interesting. It was a cool overview on like color theory and like marketing and how brands market clothing and like trends and clothing trends and stuff like that. That was really cool. It brought me back to my grad school days of when I used to take costume design classes. My MFA is in stage management, so I had to take a bunch of design classes. So that was really cool. But those are my 2 classes that I've taken. I'm not sure if these virtual summits are for me. Maybe I'm not maybe I don't have the right expectations or the right frame of mind for them. Because I also tried the perfect sweater garment, something. It was I don't know, something about knitting sweater garments. And I did that at the beginning of February.
And I watched a couple of those, and they also weren't my vibe. Those for me felt a little bit that it was really geared towards beginners, and I think it was. So I didn't feel like I was going to get, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm looking for. Maybe I'm just not good at attending conferences. Maybe this is a me problem. Because I also attended or attempted to attend something else recently, and it didn't really pan out. I think this might be a me thing. Maybe I'm just not good at like conference topics that I'm hoping to learn from. I used to go to teaching conferences a lot, and I did struggle to learn them. I think the topics are hard. Like trying to find a topic that everyone's going to be interested in was tricky. I am excited for the Knit Happy Summit Knit Happy Summit talks on Saturday. I think they're going to be the best ones that, or at least best isn't the right term, I guess, ones that I'm most interested in. And today is Friday, so I will catch up on some on Friday. I started to watch, which did I start to watch? I started to watch one on knitting math and the essentials of knitting math. And that was kind of interesting. It was a lot of discussion about like gauge and how to read gauge, but that also felt like not what I was looking for. So maybe maybe it's me. I'm the problem. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna listen to one about knitting and traveling. I considered watching the one about brioche, and then I realized that I don't care about brioche. Which, not to say that like if you like brioche, it's not a problem with brioche. It's just I could take it or leave it. I think these are hard because the presenters only get to talk for a very small amount of time, so they like have to do their introduction and then talk about their thing, and it's so tricky to like they're essentially lessons. Get a lesson in 20 minutes. It's hard for me when I'm teaching. So I think it was just like that kind of thing. I was like, but I will soldier on. But if you're liking the Knit Happy Summit, or these sound like awesome topics, you should do it. Because like I said, I think the problem is me. I think I'm not a good summit person. I also have a very tangled mini skein. That's what I've been doing, is untangling this mini skein, which is probably why I wasn't using it, because it was a tangled disaster and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to spend the time to untangle it, which is why I didn't use the yarn. But it is stashed down here, so that's what I'm doing. But yes, I will soldier on in the Knit Happy Summit. Maybe play the bingo.
Okay, I watched half of a day 2 video on hacking up your knits for travel. I'm really trying to get into this Knit Happy Summit, but man, I'm not doing well. I don't think I'll even post this because it seems pretty negative, but it's not that. I just don't think it's for me. Maybe I'm just not in the right headspace for it. Yeah. Because the knitting tips while traveling were great. It seemed like nothing new that I'm already doing. So I think I'm looking for something earth-shattering. But Shaylee made a really good observation that like sometimes like knitting's been around for a really long time. Sometimes it's really hard to be innovative and earth-shattering with tips on knitting because it's been going on for so long. Yeah. So I think it would be cool. I don't know. Topics, it's one of those you don't know what you don't know. Like, I'd like to know about topics that I don't know, but I don't know what I don't know. So today is the one that I'm excited for. Today is Saturday. We're going to give it a shot, see what we think. I'm going to listen to them on my run. This is the one where I actually liked like 6 of the topics, so I think that might be cool. But so far, there's a potato on the road. That's interesting. I don't know. Can you see the potato now that I'm walking away? Yeah, that's the potato. Yeah, I don't know. It's so far everyone's been nice. It just not doing it for me. That's okay though. It might be great for you. Okay, back from my run. Listened to 2.5 summit presentations. The first one was on photo flat lay, which was awesome. Listened to the whole thing, downloaded the workbook, and I'm gonna give it a shot later on today because I've got this really nice overcast lighting, which the clouds will be perfect because they'll disperse the sunlight, right? So that was awesome. Second one was, sorry, I'm out of breath walking up a hill after a run. Second one was, Alexis, who talked about her knitting journey, which I realized this isn't a knock on any of the presenters, but I'm not really interested in someone's knitting journey. I want to know their tips. So I just skip forward on it, which is fine. I do wish that the presentations had chapters in them like you can on YouTube, so I could skip the knitting journeys, because that's not my journey. So she was really funny. I liked what she had to say. She's got these really cool knitting needles that actually seem really nifty. I don't knit flat enough for them to be something I want to add to my tool stash, but if you're a big shawl knitter or blanket knitter, they're kind of awesome. And then she gave you a workbook on hand stretches. However, she didn't demo any of the hand stretches. So that was interesting. But I'm gonna check out the workbook. So later today, I'm gonna try the photo flat lay, which I'm really bad at photography. So I'm excited to give that a shot. I'll film it so you can watch me try and give it a shot. I have an idea. I actually have 2 ideas for some flat lays for the other 2 projects I'm working on. One of them is a dinosaur themed blanket, and one is my love story socks. So I've got some prop ideas, which is great. I will try out the hand stretches as well, so I'll give you a review after I try it. And then I was watching the it's Lawrence of a Bee in the Bonnet sock heel and toe constructions. It was a good overview, and they just happen to be all methods that I've used before, but it was a nice overview, especially if you're new to sock knitting. So I've learned about myself at these knitting summits. I don't actually want to learn about knitting. I want to learn about knitting adjacent activities that enhance my knitting, like photo flat lays and hand stretches, those things. So the problem is definitely me. I want knitting adjacent things that make knitting cooler, not actually how to knit. Because honestly, when I want to learn how to do something when I'm knitting, I just go YouTube it, or I look it up, or I wing it. But I'm noticing that's not everyone. I'm a teacher. That's not how all my students are either, that they're not, I'm one of those who loves to learn new things and just jumps right in all the time, and if it goes sideways, it goes sideways. And it's what my dad taught me a long time ago, like, keep your hands away from the moving parts and everything else will probably be fine. This was in reference to tools, and he was teaching me how to use a saw, but that's basically kind of how I approach it. Like, it's just knitting, it's just yarn. Even if I do cut the yarn, I can graft it back together if I have to, or kind of just keep going with it. So I tend to jump in when I want to learn something anyway. So yeah, that's what knitting adjacent summit, that would be cool. All the different activities that are similar to knitting that enhance your knitting, like stretches and different tools that you can have. That's my kid yelling mom if you can hear it. Or photography, or I don't know what else is knitting adjacent. I don't know, if you've got knitting adjacent ideas, that would be cool for a summit. Pop it down below. But I'm gonna go try and check out the rest of these. But yes, this is good. I'm gonna give it a shot later on today because I've got awesome weather. I think I'm gonna use some of these flowers for the flat lay. My sunglasses are making me insane. They're too big, and I had to run the whole run like this. And this is not super safe for running because I kind of can't see. I can't see out of them when they're all the way down here. Ah! Okay, bye. me and my handy dandy helper here, Lottie, are going to try out these hand stretch exercises. All right, ready, Lottie? Let's do the first one. Finger stretches. Okay, you have to make your hands big, hands small. Hands big, hands small. We have to do these 10 times. 1, 2, 3. Can you count?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, wrist flexor stretch. Extend your arm in front of you. Okay, so I'm checking in and prepping dinner, hence the spatula that you can see in the corner. So I watched 2 more sessions of the, what's it called? Knit Happy Summit. And one was on short row heels, and the other one is on knitting trends. I didn't finish the short row heels ones because I realized that those were some techniques I had already learned, and it was a great overview. It was not the session for me, which I think is okay, but it did have some really great tips and some explanations on what the short row options are. And then the second one that I watched was on knitting trends, or actually just like trend reports and like fashion and how to read trend reports and how we're seeing it. And I found that incredibly interesting. So I signed up to receive the presenter's newsletter for the 2024 trend report. Hold on, I got it super interesting that there was the trend report on, like, she talked about the trends from 2022 and the trends from 2023 and how that's all going to work, and like how you can be inspired by it and how to use and read trend reports. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm excited to check it out. So I have learned from this summit that I'm really interested in knitting adjacent things at a summit or to learn rather than actual knitting. But there's one more day of the summit. I will let you know what I think tomorrow. Final thoughts. So, I thought it was great. I thought it was really well run. I thought it was really clear. I really appreciated the emails every day. There's a couple things which I think were me things that I didn't really understand, but it may have just been me. I also believe this is their first time running the summit, so definitely great. So let's talk about the things that weren't for me, or the things that were a little bit tricky. None of this is a knock on any of the people organizing. I don't think anyone did anything wrong. I think it was just not for me. So what was not for me was some of the topics, which were definitely, when you offer something like this, you have to offer a wide variety. So what works for me isn't going to work for someone else. So this is purely a personal opinion. But I think, like, it's a free summit. So if you even find one thing, you find one presentation that resonates with you, that you're interested with in you, it's definitely worth it. And you just skip all the others if you're not interested. I went to ones that I normally wouldn't go to for the sake of this YouTube video, so I could see if I was maybe wrong about it. So definitely peruse the topics. I liked that you could see the topics ahead of time. All of the videos were available for 48 hours basically 48 hours after that day. So the videos were all released at 9 a.m. each day, and then 2 days later at 9 a.m. they closed, and it's 9 a.m. Eastern. Some people were a little bit confused about when the videos were available. However, I found it clear. So it may have just been embedded in the email situation. The Facebook group was great. From what I noticed, the organizer was very responsive. I did notice there were 2 things that were a little bit confusing, but they're just organizational things. It was not a make or break thing. They had bingo games, so you could fill out things, and it was a little bit hard to figure out what the rules were, because some people were posting their bingo card just in the group, and then sometimes they were posting the bingo card on the bingo card post. So that was a little confusing. And then sometimes the post wouldn't get up for a while, so people were confused. But this is a big summit. It was a big thing. So I think that's just to like extend grace kind of thing, and it's just bingo. So I guess in the future, maybe scheduling the bingo posts would be better, because it was a little confusing. Like, are you supposed to put them all on this big bingo post? But then the organizer would also post day 1 and day 2. And then I'm like, well, where are you supposed to post it? Again, not that big, not going to make or break the summit. The other thing was a little bit confusing, that there were like multiple frequently asked questions pages. There was like a frequently asked question pages with answers, and then like a links at your fingertip page. So that was also a little bit confusing, but I figured it out. It just took some like navigating on my part to figure out how to like find all the different resources. But again, it wasn't that hard. I sorted it out. So none of it where I was like, oh, this is bad, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to participate. It was just logistically a little bit tricky, but it was only one person organizing it, and that makes it really hard. Like, organizing is a lot, and you don't really know if you planned well enough until you're doing the thing. Before I was a teacher, I was a stage manager, and you never knew if you'd done it enough or everything was in place until you were in the moment and it's going live and you're like, oh shoot, or hey, that worked great. So overall, I would recommend this summit. I think it was fun. I think you learned some stuff. Some of the topics weren't for me, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be for you. So lots of great things. All of the presenters were lovely. They answered questions in the chat. I posted a picture that you'll have seen already in this video, but I posted a picture and the presenter already commented on it. She was so sweet, so nice and engaging. Everyone's been really supportive. By and large, the community and Facebook group has been lovely. I mean, there are complainers. However, there are complainers everywhere. And the good part about social media, when people complain, you just scroll past it. You don't actually have to engage with them. Versus in real life, when sometimes people are complaining to your face. You can't really scroll past. I mean, you can walk away, but that's a lot more. Sometimes you're in social situations where you can't really walk away. Like when it's your job. So, a couple of people complaining, stuff like that, but just keep on scrolling by. So I would recommend it. I learned a lot. I especially liked the photography session. I thought that was excellent. The photography session was great. The hand stretches was a great review. Really enjoyed that one, but really the photography one was like top notch for me. I really enjoyed the trend report one as well. I'm interested in seeing it. I was a little bummed that the trend report wasn't ready, because she says she's releasing it today, which is the 19th. So I would have liked to be able to look at the trend report while she was doing the presentation, but I'm sure life gets in the way of things. So again, tiny little things that would have been like, oh, that's awesome, but still a really great thing. I also forgot to mention that I did check out one more presentation. I think it was Saturdays. It was Melanated Boho Babes presentation. Was also great. Her knitting journey is just not my knitting journey. She really likes bulky weight yarn. That's not really for me. She knits with US 17s. That's not really for me either. And she enjoys swatching, which is not for me either, but she was lovely. There were great tips. I'm excited to try her pattern that she offered as a freebie. It was great. She was lovely. She had a really cool perspective on it. Just not her knitting journey is just not mine, because I ain't never doing that. I'm not knitting, and she knits flat a lot. I'm not knitting flat with US 17s on bulky weight yarn. That's just gonna look like a fishing net, but that's my gauge, and that's a me thing. So, recommend it. I don't know if it's happening again. This was their inaugural year, but follow. Our organizer was Double the Stitches. Follow her on Instagram so you can get all the updates. I am starting another craft summit. This one is by Destiny Kopp of Hobby School. School is spelled without the H. And that's starting on February 20th. It is called, I think, Passion into Profit. So it's about turning your crafty business crafty hobby into a business, which I know not all you want, and it's not always about the hustle, but I'm a millennial, so the hustle is ingrained into my soul. But no, I actually really enjoy the hustle. So I'm going to check that out. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts and reviews on that, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.